Servus, hallo, grüß euch. Hier ist wieder der Sascha von jawoi, gmiatlich. Wo ist er denn? Ja, hier ist er. Ha! Heute ausnahmsweise mal draußen unterwegs und zwar was Feines. Ich bin bei 2K Games in München und treffe mich gleich mit Jake Solomon, dem Creative Lead Designer von XCOM 2. Neues Update, XCOM 2, War of the Chosen. Mal gucken, was der Chef sagt. Los geht's.
Intel on this area is weak and we're picking up strange chatter on comm.
Jake Solomon, servus, as we say in Bavaria.
Yes, I've heard that that's the... Wait, say it again. Servus? Servus, yeah. Servus, everyone.
Awesome.
Hello, goodbye, how are you? Yeah.
You're here today to talk about XCOM 2, War of the Chosen. It's coming out on the 28th of August?
29th.
29th, yeah.
29th, yep.
What can we expect of the DLC?
Ooh, it's big. So this is an expansion. So that means that this is basically laid over the top of the XCOM 2 game. And the idea is that this is our opportunity to add a bunch of new characters and a bunch of new content. And I think what it comes out of is the idea of making the game more narrative, having more characters that the player can interact with. We have these characters in the game now called the Chosen, and they are enemies of the player, and they have real personalities. And so the player, as you're playing XCOM now, you'll have these characters that are there and they're trying to stop you, they're trying to fight you, and at the same time they're talking to you. They remember things you've done, and they fight you in combat. They'll comment on how you're doing, on how you did against them last time. And so you're building a relationship with these new enemies, which is something we've never done before. And it creates this real connection between you and these new enemies you're facing.
Talking about relationships, there are bonds between the character the player plays as well now. Yeah. How does this work?
Yeah, so the player, you're in charge of all these soldiers, and as these soldiers go on missions, there's this system. It's kind of like XCOM dating, I guess. There's this relationship system for the soldiers where they can be highly compatible with each other, or they could have low compatibility, which I guess means they don't like each other. And so if soldiers with high compatibility go on missions together, they'll actually form a bond, which gives them powerful new abilities whenever they go into missions together. And so it's just a sort of neat way for the player to feel like their soldiers have even more character. There's even more story there, because these characters, they go on hard missions together, they form this sort of bond that then gives them extra power, and it just is another way to sort of get closer to your soldiers.
How are there some kind of bonuses then, or how does it look like exactly?
Yeah. So when soldiers bond, and there's multiple levels, so the first time they bond, what they can do is give each other extra actions. So I can say, if you and I are bonded, and I feel like we're getting close. Yeah. So if you and I are bonded, basically, when we're in combat together, as you and I've done many times, right? We're in combat together. I have two actions as a soldier. I can give you one of mine, and so that's very powerful, because you only have so many actions in XCOM, but if you have an extra one, maybe that's just enough to, maybe you miss a shot or something like that, or you just have the perfect shot lined up, I can give my action to you and you can take that extra thing, and that may turn the tide of battle. And that's just the first level. There are higher levels as well. If anything bad happens to me, I start panicking, or I get mind controlled, or all the horrible things.
So I'm saying to you, calm down.
That's right. If you run next to me, then immediately I feel better. So.
Talking about new enemies, there's how's it called? The Lost.
Yeah.
Looking like zombies.
Yeah.
What's up with them?
Yeah. So and they look very close to zombies. You could call them zombies. I don't care. So the Lost, they're these heavily mutated humans, and the idea is that they attack the player in huge numbers. And the thing that's really fun about them is that you have to fight these large numbers of enemies, but what's really fun about them is that you have the XCOM's always fighting the aliens, and that's always very tactical. You're taking cover, you're trying to pull off good tactical maneuvers. But when the zombies come in, they're not tactical at all, and not only are they swarming you as a player, they're also swarming the aliens as well. And so now you both have a new enemy to fight. And so now it's this three-way battle, and it makes for this really, really crazy dynamic system. And it's really unlike anything that the players experienced before.
Are these special missions, or do they appear randomly?
They can appear randomly. So you can go on almost any mission. We have some special missions where it's going to be a lot of loss that you're going to be fighting. But they can appear any mission you could be going on, and we'll say, hey, there's a warning, they're lost in the area. And so you'll be going into some regular mission, think you're doing really well, and then all of a sudden these huge swarms of zombies come in. And they're drawn to the sound of combat. So if you start chucking grenades and things, even more of them are going to come in. So it just makes for a really dynamic mission.
With XCOM 2 already being very, very complex, the DLC adds a new level of complexity. And is it still suitable for beginners? Is there any new functions in there to help beginners start off the game?
Yeah, and that's totally that's a totally good question. I mean, XCOM 2, part of the joy of it is sort of learning these new systems and then being able to use them and use all these tools. And so we give the player all these toys, all these new soldiers, all these new things that they can use. And with that comes, the player slowly learns them. And so what we've tried to do is introduce these things pretty slowly over the course of the game. But yeah, we have new missions that sort of teach you how to use them, teach you how to fight against the Lost, teach you what the Chosen are all about, teach you how to use these new soldier classes. So yeah, it's okay for new players to play War of the Chosen as their first experience with XCOM, because it's meant to be an experience that sort of guides them into it. But yeah, XCOM's intense for sure. I mean, XCOM is there aren't a lot of games like XCOM out there.
So War of the Chosen comes on top of the original XCOM 2. Is there any new story elements, any new cutscenes, any new missions on top of the original ones?
Yes, definitely. So we've added a lot of new narrative to the game. So it sits on top of the old game, but we've inserted a bunch of narrative. So these chosen enemies that you're fighting, there's a lot of cinematics about them. We've added a whole new, even introduction cinematic to the game, or finale cinematic to the game if you beat it. And then in between, there are story missions, there are story cinematics, there's just a lot of new narrative content to the game. We've even added a lot of things where after you beat a mission, on your way back in the dropship, you'll hear like the alien government will be talking about what you just did, and they'll be trying to spin it for them. They'll be trying to talk about how it's not a big deal that these rebels attacked. And then when you get back to your base, then we have a resistance DJ, and he'll be in the bar in your base, and he'll be talking about what you just did and talking about how great it was. And so there's a lot of new voices and narrative elements, but yeah, there's definitely also new cutscenes and cinematics and story missions as well.
Rumor goes it already was enough for a third XCOM.
Yeah.
So why did you make a DLC instead of a new one?
Yeah, we definitely talked about it, and I think it's because we at Firaxis, when we make XCOM, we really focus on design. Like, we're really worried about the design elements, and so for us, making an expansion is a way to make a product that's more efficient for us. We can make it faster, and we can add all this content and all this new way to play XCOM without having to worry about creating an entirely new game, And so for us, we don't want to wait that long to sort of add all these mechanics into a game that we think people love, and there's all this opportunity there. We see opportunity to make XCOM 2 better, and so yeah, it's huge. It is absolutely massive, but for us, we still wanted to sort of like finish telling the XCOM 2 story.
So what about XCOM 3 then? Is there any thing to say about that already?
If I started thinking about XCOM 3 at this moment, I think I would basically faint. So yeah, there's nothing to say except someday probably, yeah.
For you personally, what's your most beloved feature of the new XCOM DLC?
All right, this is very clear to me. This is a feature that has no gameplay value whatsoever. So this feature is called the photo booth. Okay, and so after you win a mission, what happens is that the game takes all your soldiers that completed the mission, it puts them on the battlefield, and it poses them, and there we have We have many, many, many posters. So all your soldiers strike like an awesome soldier pose, you know, whatever, all together. And then it creates a poster. So it puts up phrases like, you know, these are the heroes, you know, join XCOM today. It's basically a war poster. And then it can put a filter over that, and the player can edit all of that. They can move the soldiers around. They can change their pose. They can enter their own text, you know. They can put all their own filters, and they can even do that back on the base. They can put everybody together in this photo booth and take all these pictures they want. And so that's pretty awesome already. But better than that, then all the posters that you take pictures of, they start appearing in the world. So when you go on your next mission, that poster is going to be on the side of a building, you know, and so you can look up and see this poster you created. And it's fun, it's rewarding, it's fun to share them with other people, but it has no gameplay. It doesn't change the gameplay really, but it makes the world feel more alive. It's just really fun to do.
Another level of immersion. Yeah. Okay. Jake Solomon, thank you very much. As we say in Bavaria, again, Servus.
Yes,
nice for you being here.
Yes.
Ja, und für euch auf jeden Fall, zieht's euch rein, Gameplay-Material haufenweise im Hintergrund. Ja, und bis zum nächsten Mal. Bleibt's gmiatlich. Can you say bleibt's gmiatlich?
Bleibt's gmiatlich.
Yeah.